We are back with this week's episode of ALAB Radio. Last week, we tackled all about the career opportunities of environmental and occupational health. And now we're about to know the ins and outs of another field altogether. And that field is nutrition. This is a topic I'm sure all of you guys will be interested in because nutrition is a field that affects us all. From the meals you get to encounter every day to the numerous statistics we hear about malnutrition, stunting, and obesity alike. Today, we'll know just how nutrition is actually a big part of our everyday lives and how it can also play a big role in our future careers. Today, we welcome Ms. 𝙤𝙧𝙬 to tell us all about the field of nutrition. So good day, ma'am.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me over.
We are very thrilled to have you po this week. I hope you're just as excited as we are po for today's episode.
I'm also nervous. Yes, excited, but also nervous.
Very relatable.
Okay, go.
So, ma'am, can you tell us all about yourself po for our listeners who are not from public health?
Okay, so I'm currently a young faculty in the Department of Nutrition. I graduated sa BSPH, then back 2012. I came from 𝙤𝙧 as yung alma mater ko nung high school. Currently, I am pursuing Master in Public Health, specifically sa nutrition na side, with a bit of little electives here and there, pero focusing on nutrition. Since I'm a young faculty, I haven't really settled sa gusto kong aralin meaning like research on the field, but I am leaning towards NCDs, to using technology to better improve yung dietary assessment and whatnot.
So I'm gonna be asking for a series of questions ranging from your own experience to career opportunities in the field for our listeners to have an idea of what it's like to work in nutrition. Of course, to start this off po, we'd like to begin with you and your experience in the field muna. So, can you first tell us about your journey before choosing this field? Was there anything like, a serendipitous moment or a sudden realization, as often portrayed in the media, that made you sure that you wanted to pursue a career in your current field?
Being a BSPH graduate kasi, you will relate to this later on. You get to be exposed to different fields. Like you get snippets of micro, para, nutri, deo, or like environmental occupational health. And it's quite difficult, especially after you graduate. Especially kung hindi mo naman iniisip mag-med, anong gagawin mo after? Saan ka pupunta? Yun talaga yung parang kahit sino nakausap ko, yun yung parang bottleneck nila sa life nila. After graduation, anong gagawin ko? So what brought me to nutrition is actually opportunities na nag-come after I graduated. So since hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko right after, nag-take ako ng medtech boards. So 2 months intense review for medtech boards. Sabi ko, at least if may license ako, plus additional valid ID, kasi wala na akong valid ID then, hindi ko alam. Pag-graduate ka na, hindi na valid yung student ID. So sabi ko, I'll take medtech boards. So siguro with this, I can apply to more jobs out there. Tapos, while I was looking for job opportunities, nag-apply ako for IITM sa Department of Parasitology. Then, napunta lang ako ng college kasi wala lang, namimiss ko lang yung college. Then, I saw si Sir Well, siya yung UR ng Department of Nutrition. Doon kasi ako actually nag-thesis. Yung thesis ko, yung SS, doon ako sa nutrition. So, medyo close kami sa department. Tapos, noong time na yun, nag-offer siya na, well, actually, hindi siya nag-offer. Ako nagtanong, sir, may alam ka bang trabaho? Kasi ako, I did not really consider taking medicine right after. For, logistics reason. Kasi ayokong mag-burden yung family ko. So, sabi ko, I want to work. Tapos, baka kung mag-work na ako, ma-feel ko kung mag-med pa ako o hindi. So, Yun. Tapos thankfully, yun nga si Sir Ruel, sabi niya, sakto. Say, give me your number. I'll call you kung may mahanap ako. Tapos yun pala, may opening sa department. So to make the story short, napunta ako sa nutrition because of opportunity that came in lang na out of nowhere. Kasi nagkasalubong lang kami sa road, sir, may alam ka? O sige, ito. Ganun lang siya. Pero before that, eager naman akong i-accept yun. Kasi yung position na yun is parang URA. So I was in charge sa lab. I like doing laboratory. Gusto ko yung hands-on. Not to mention, dati nung mag-a-apply pala ako ng BSPH, akala ko yung subject na nutrition, magluluto. Wala namang luto doon and sad ako doon. May slice. So okay na ako. So ako, okay, sige lang. At least this time, alam kong gagawin ko. I'm confident that I can do the job. Kasi naging estudyante ako this time. Ako naman yung tuturo sa estudyante. So I think, sige, okay lang. I'll choose this. So basically, yung start, ba't ako napunta ng Department of Nutrition. Pero being in the department, hindi naman lang ako in charge of nutrition. I'm handling biochemistry, na laboratory, nutrition, and even clinical chemistry.
Going off of tangent a bit ko, because I think that this subject is a really important matter to discuss. I think po kasi na with regards to academics, people have this presumption na when you graduate from a science high school, you have a really big advantage as compared to your peers who didn't. As someone who didn't graduate po from a science high school, I can speak for those who did. But since Ma'am Rachel here is a graduate of PSI, let's settle the debate. Do you think that science high school students really have the advantage in careers with hard sciences such as nutrition?
For nutrition na subject, ito isin yung nutrition na subject, the one I handled last semester. Feeling ko hindi ganun. Hindi ganun ka-important. Because if you would, sayang hindi ka pa kita na under. Sa nutrition, ang varied ng topics, ang varied ng concepts. And it's not basically dealing with parang hard science. Yes, may computation here and there, may konting physiology, kanyan, pero not so much. It tells you things that you should bear in mind lang, pero more of practicing, application yung dating niya. Kung tatanungin mo ako kung anong subject sa department namin yung kailangan ng hard science, yun, biochemistry. Yun, advantages yung taga-Pisay ka or taga-science high school or you came from a science-based curriculum ng high school. Yun, beneficial yun. For nutrition, hindi masyado kasi kakaiba siya. Ewan ko, kakaiba siya for me. But I like it because it's more of application. Plus things that you can really apply in your daily life pag nakuha mo yung gist niya. Clinical chemistry, yun, medyo ma-biochem din siya. So yun yung, mapapadali buhay mo kapag medyo you get a good grasp of sciences, especially chem, doon sa dalawang subject na yun. For Note 3, as long as you're eager, carry mo siya.
So, ma'am, going back po to your career, can you describe to us how it was or how it has been working in nutrition so far? Like, what jobs or roles have you taken and how did you pull through all of it po?
Well, my current, with my, ilang years pa ako nasa nutrition. From 2016 to now. So that's almost 4 years. 4 years, kanina. 4 years in nutrition. And sa dalawang side or aspect ako napunta. Naging researcher / katulong sa laboratory. So that's yung URA nga, yung research associate. Tapos as faculty. For the research associate, for me, magaan lang siya. Kasi again, BSPH graduate ako. Madali lang yung to go back again kasi na-enjoy ko naman nga din yung lab. Ang challenge siguro is kapag may bagong task na ibibigay sa'yo. For example, especially ako, hindi ako ma-org before kasi takot akong hindi makaabot sa curfew sa dorm. Dorm ko 9 a.m. 9 a.m., 9 p.m. So parang kapag may meetings, ayoko yung napapressure akong umuwi. So yan. So hindi ako pala org din. So pagdating na sa work, kailangan pala namin mag-organize ng courses. Pag-organize ng courses, you need to collaborate with other departments. Hindi ka mag-isa. So yung challenge ko noon, paano ko paano ako makakapag-communicate ng effectively sa iba, especially na mas senior sila. Plus, nung time na yon, nagtuturo na rin ako ng undergraduate. Yung boses ko maliit. Like, hindi na maliit. Parang hindi ko siya ma-modulate ng maayos. So, kunyari sa lab, walang microphone kasi, kunyari brown out, ganyan, or nawalan ng kuryente, or sira yung microphone. Hirap akong sumigaw para makuha yung attention ng class. 40 people versus me na hindi ganun. Yun, hirap ako nun ng part na yun. Tapos feeling ko may minsan na hindi pa nagre-respect na student. Parang they look down on you. Mga ganyan. For faculty na side, ibang level of collaboration naman kasi ang kausap mo mga senior faculty to officials to other tasks din na kunyari I have to talk with other offices sa UP Manila or even outside university. So parang, am I doing this? Parang nung hindi mo alam kung tama ba itong ginagawa ko. Parang ganun. It's just like, nobody can tell you na, ay mali yung sinabi mo, ganun. Kasi one-to-one correspondence siya. Nobody would check up on you na parang, you could do this, you could do this better by doing this and that. Walang ganun. Unlike sa klase, na kunyari nakikita ka ng teacher mo na naglalab, sasabihin, ay mali yung kapaypet mo, ayusin mo ganyan. Pero kapag nasa real world ka, walang magsasabi sa'yo unless ikaw yung mag-a-approach kay someone para magtanong, how can I improve? How can I ganyan? So, yun yung yun yung naging remedyo ko, kumbaga. I ask people. Siyempre, people na I trust. People na I honor. Kunyari sa department, nung nag-URA ako, ang tinatanong ko si Sir Ruel. Yun yung senior researcher namin. So, pag hindi ko alam, parang feeling ko may weird na akong ginawa, parang it's still bugging me, tatanungin ko siya. Similar with my chair, din, si Sir Nai. Ganun din. Kaya yun, kung paano ko siya generally na overcome at ino-overcome, I go back to my circle. Ganun. I go back to my mentor. Ganun. Yun yung gist. Na kung saan ka man, go back to the people na you can trust na bibigyan ka ng tamang feedback. I mean, hindi namang bias na feedback, pero something that you can improve on, something din na kung nag-overthink ka, magre-reassure sa'yo na okay lang.
Given all of that po, do you think na it's a field that you will be in the long run? And why do you think so?
Feeling ko kailangan ko pa dito kasi parang wala pa ako masyadong nabibigay. My way of contributing to the field is like letting you students know na we can do something. Yun yung parang way ko pa as of now. Pero feeling ko, I can still do more. Tapos since ito naman kasi si nutrition, parang gusto ko lang kasi talaga ng pagkain. yung idea na yun yung parang nutrition is something that you do every day. And if may magagawa kang impact on that, regardless kung sa estudyante mo yan, sa sarili mo yan, would really have a long-term effect kahit hindi mo pa na-realize. So parang that idea makes me feel like may pwede pa akong gawin. So yun. So far yun yung drive ko.
So moving on to career opportunities po. As you said, as students, like we still have a lot to contribute, and more so when we go into that specific path in our career na. For BS Public Health students po from both the medical laboratory sciences and population health tracks, and even those who simply just want to pursue the field, what career opportunities are currently available? Can you share some sectors or organizations and companies that we can go into po?
Yun. That question is actually quite difficult to answer. Bakit ko nga ba nasabi? Because if you're going, for example, for nutrition, tell me, if you are, for example, DOH, and you're actually looking for nutrition na very specific for nutrition dietetics, why would you hire a BSPH graduate? Na meron kang BS Community Nutrition sa Diliman. Meron kang BS Nutrition, I think BS Nutrition ang tawag sa ibang colleges. So ang hirap if you put yourself in like basically looking for people in nutrition specifically kasi meron na nun. But if you ask me, ano yung edge ng isang BS Public Health student versus sa kanila? ang forte natin is collaboration. Sanay tayo dun sa, dapat masanay tayo dun sa collaboration aspect. So, actually, ang stand ko mula nung graduate ako ng BSPH, even itong nag-Master of Public Health ako, I need not be the expert in the field. Parang, oo, syempre may niche ka doon, magpupunta ka doon. Pero it's not that, it doesn't mean na ikaw yung magmomonopolize sa field na yun. Ikaw na BSPH, hindi mo kailangan na, hindi enough na doon ka lang sa field alam, parang kunyari sa nutrition lang alam mo. The very reason bakit ang BSPH madami, di ba ang dami, ilang department? 7. Bakit may 7? Actually, yung 4 doon, content. If you mean content, knowledge na you should know. Micro, para, nutrition, envi, and occupational health. Yung 3, DEBS, DHPE, and DHPE, sila yung mga skills na kailangan alam mo. So, bali, ano yung R mo to do those skills, to apply those skills na alam mo? It's your knowledge doon sa content, sa nutrition. So, kung sasabihin mo sa akin kung ano yung career opportunities sa nutrition specifically, usually lalabas yung mga projects na, kunyari research projects na alam nila yung capacity ng BSPH. Kunyari nutrition, tapos maghanap sila ng BSPH kasi they're looking for someone na hindi magaling talaga sa nutrition but rather magaling sa pag-analyze ng data as a whole. Marunong mag-problem solving, marunong mag-handle ng tao, ganun. Ganun siya. So, kung going back to your question na kung anong careers, madami naman. Pero kung papansinin mo, kunyari sa DOH, marami silang research, parang mga program managers ba? May tawag sila dun eh. Tapos ang hinahanap nila, BS Public Health. Yun yung una. / other courses. Kasi alam nila, more of managing. So, swerte mo, kung gusto mo ang nutrition, tas ang nakuha mong project, nutrition-based, di matutuwa ka pa. Pero it doesn't mean that you cannot also work dun sa part na parasitology or micro. Kasi nga, for example, micro and nutrition, they affect each other din, di ba? Similar with para and nutrition. Kung may parasitism ka, your nutrition will be affected. So it's not really looking at just one aspect. It's how this field affects the other. And your ability to see it as a public health student, yun yung hinahanap ng iba. What you can look for really is yung mga organizations na alam yung characteristic or kaya ng isang BSPH. Usually, RITM, DOH, yun yung alam kong talagang naghahanap sila ng BS Public Health na student. Even, kunyari, yung mga researchers na BSPH, yung matataas na tapos mga naunang BSPH graduate or MPH graduate, yun, naghahanap din sila ng BSPH na students or graduates. Kahit fresh grad, i-hire nila. Kasi, alam nilang, may ka na, foundation. So, konting, training. It doesn't also mean pala na you having limited knowledge on the field. Yun na yun. Siyempre, given yun na kailangan you're willing to learn. You're willing to learn more. Especially kung saan ka ba mapunta, willing to learn ka. Especially kung may mentor ka naman. Learn, as in yun. Find a mentor. Learn everything you can learn from the person, be it yung expertise niya, kahit yung work ethics niya. Siyempre, you should be able to discern kung okay o hindi. Pero, yun, as long as tama yung attitude mo, willing ka, and you're open to learning, like, keep learning, you'll be fine. Kahit saan ka man pumunta. Of course, be humble din. I mean, you have humility. Wag lang oo ng oo, pero admit na you're willing to do it. Hindi mo lang alam. Pag-guide ako. Pag mali ka, apologize. How can I do better? And ganun. Okay.
As early as now po, I think I speak on behalf of our listeners when I say that it's good to think every now and then on how we can prepare ourselves for our future careers. So personally po, other than what you mentioned earlier, is there anything that we can do as early as now to prepare ourselves for the field?
I can only speak for experience ko siguro. Be ready, hindi siya specific sa DSPH. Kasi feeling ko sa college or in generally in education, everything is theory. Parang ito yung or ideal, ganun. Paglabas mo, hindi lang yun yung scenario eh. Ang daming factors around that may affect yung alam mong ideal, yung alam mo by theory. Siguro, what I can say na maging prepared ka, take everything with a grain of salt. Parang, not everything you saw no undergrad ka is the same thing na makikita mo kapag nasa field ka na. Not everything na feeling mo kaya mong gawin nung undergrad, kaya mong gawin sa labas na. Parang may idea ka, pero may mga factors na kahit, oo, that's a brilliant idea, may times na hindi mo siya mapupush. Another also pala, you can ask help from your professors or from other BSPH graduate na tapos na to give you advice. Para at least meron kang may at least teaser, parang ganun. Meron ka ng trailer sa anong gagawin mo doon sa part na yun, di ka mabigla. Know your abilities, know your weaknesses. Alamin mo yung strengths mo. Keep honing that. Yung weakness mo, huwag mo namang isuko. Try to do something to improve it rin. Kung hindi mo kaya, matuto kang mag-admit. Huwag oo ng oo. Yung build the attitude before ka pa lumabas. Just be eager sa pag-learn ng bago. Know how to adjust. Especially kung yung hindi porket dati nung high school, ikaw ang laging nasusunod. Pili mo pag college, ganun din. Hindi ganun paglabas. Yeah, be considerate, ganun. Basta, pakinggan mo yung surrounding mo, be mindful of the people, but at the same time, don't let the criticisms that you get affect you. Practicein mo na siya habang hindi ka pa nalabas. Hindi ko naman sinasabi rin na stop being idealistic. Pero parang be mindful kung paano mo siya ibibigay sa iba. Kasi especially, bata ka, pupunta ka sa organization, usually ikaw yung pinakabata, tapos sasabihin mo yun. Kamusta na lang ang maging reaction ng seniors mo, diba? Baka di ka na patrabahuin. Pero, siguro, titimplahin mo lang talaga yung sarili. Keep your ideas sa sarili. Keep it alive. Tapos kung may chance ka to slowly say it, usually naman, if your workplace is very good, tatanungin ka nila what do you think? And that's the time pwede mong i-lay down yung ideas mo. And sabihin naman nila kung gusto nila o hindi. Pero, ayun, tama yung sinabi mo. There's a lot of things pa na kailangan gawin except dun sa usual nating iniisip kapag nasa classroom tayo. Pero wag naman ma-dishearten. Just make sure, aware ka lang na things can happen not as you plan. Pero hindi naman sinasabi imposible.
Speaking of being realistic po, we delve into the more practical side of things per se. We all know that choosing a career where we feel fulfilled and that we're able to serve our country is very important. But in these times po, it's undeniable that the salary or living wages are a defining factor in pursuing a career path. Can you give us an idea po of how it is to work in nutrition in that sense?
Nutrition. Again, relating it to my answer earlier, depending nga kung nasaan ka banda, anong position ka, nasa government ka ba o hindi. Pero so far, nung naghahanap ako, kailan ba ako naghahanap? 2016, yung nakikita kong range ng, iba na pala value, nakikita kong range ng salary is at least SG12. Look it up if you like. Kasi iba yung value na yun before. Usually SG12. Pero, ang tawag nito, syempre, that amount is still dependent kung nasaan ka. Kung kunyari nag-uuwian ka ba, or pwede ka bang isabayin yung parents mo papunta yung work doon, or kung as in on your own ka, wala ka ng support sa parents, iba-iba. So, I would say it's not going to be lucrative, especially kung magme-medtech ka. Kasi may medtech, di ba? Kung si nutrition ay doon sa population health yung linya niya. Pag MLS ka, di ba, clinical care. So, medtech, I think, I'm not sure if you heard, pero pag medtech salary, ang daming nagreklamo din. Kaya nga, ang daming medtech din na lumalabas ng bansa. So, hindi siya ganun ka-practical, especially kung sanay ka na medyo magastos. It's really disciplining yourself and finding, actually not just the salary. Kunyari, you can get a job. Kunyari, kung ang ibang kasama mo ay salary grade 12, ikaw naka-salary grade 15 ka na. Pero kung ang environment mo, yung working environment mo ay hindi maganda, stress ka lagi, araw-araw, aba, doon ka na lang sa 12 na mas happy ka dun sa environment. Yun yung isa na I think hindi masyado na-emphasize pag undergrad ka pa. You're looking at the numbers. Usually, kasi yun naman yung parang kino-compare ng mga tao. But an equally important factor that you have to consider when you're working is the working environment. Anong klaseng environment ka meron doon? Will that environment help you discover more skills? Can help you do other things that you thought hindi mo nagagawin, pero actually dahil na-employ ka doon, nagagawa mo na siya ulit. Yung kamusta yung relationship mo doon sa mga tao doon, doon sa workplace mo. Are you happy? Like, happy na hindi dahil nagsusweldo ka, but are you generally happy sa ginagawa mo doon? Do you feel fulfilled? Yun yung, for me, yun yung mas important question. Siyempre, ibabalance mo siya sa salary. Kung talagang hindi ka nasusuportahan, wag na. The values, yun nga, nagre-range lang siya, but it's not lucrative. Well, that's what I can say. Pero, again, syempre, entry yun eh. As you grow older, as you gain more experience, mas mag-leverage naman din yung pay mo. Ayun. And your options are actually limitless. Kasi nga, ang daming pwedeng gawin. Don't limit yourself in the field of nutrition.
For our listeners who have naman po an idea of the statistics in the field of nutrition, is there currently a surge in or a lack of demand in the workforce for both, let's say both graduates from both the MLS and population health track, and even for those who just want to pursue the field?
Okay, for the statistics, mahirap siya sagutin kasi kakabago lang yung curriculum, di ba? We don't actually have a way of tracking. I'm not sure kung meron, pero kahit ako, hindi ko alam kung ano yung courses ng mga, ano yung field ng mga batchmates ko. I know some of them are in DOH, nagiging program officer sila, pero hindi ko alam kung anong field. Well, most of us are in medicine actually. So, hirap siya sagutin. Pero kung demand, as I mentioned, demand for BS Public Health in general, especially kung national agency like UH or ATM, they look for us because they know we can do so much. They appreciate us, why basically. Meron time dati na may PHA, tawag na Public Health Associate, under DOH deployment program din. Before, it was just intended for public health graduates. Pero since konti yung takers, kasi you get deployed to other parts of the Philippines, na-open na rin siya sa ibang courses. So yun.
Okay, so we've definitely covered a lot in terms of opportunities and skills, but I want to backtrack to your journey. So going back, is there something you would have done differently in terms of your career? Should you be given the chance to, let's say redo everything with the knowledge you have now, for us students po to be better equipped after learning from your experiences?
Generally, I would say na wala naman, like yung major. I just wish siguro, it's not related sa BSPH, or it's related to in general, like a student being away with the family for like 4 years, yun yung gusto ko sana tawag nito, balikan. Pero again, kahit balikan ko siya, hindi ko naman talaga siya magagawa. I'm from Leyte, so I spent most of my year nung undergrad, even now, dito sa Manila. And looking back at home, nakikita ko tumatanda ang mama ko, yung mga kapatid ko, mas matangkad na sa akin. Naisip ko, ano yung, parang feeling ko sayang na I wasn't with them. The celebrations na nandun sila, tapos wala ako. Yun yung actually nami-miss ko. The journey for BS Public Health is okay as long as you have friends nga na you can celebrate your little victories. Kung pagod ka na, may kasama ka ring mag-rant, may kasama kang mag-stress eating, ganyan. Which is sad kasi naka-pandemic mode tayo, online lang. Pero at least ganito, usap tayo, ganyan. Yun, may remedyo. Pero kung yung sa family na part, yun yung sana babalikan ko. Sana pag nasa bahay ako, i-make sure ko na yun lang ang isipin ko. Hindi ako magtatrabaho or like hindi ako mag-iisip ng schoolwork. Hindi ko naisipin na parang, kailan ako babalik ng Manila? Kasi ganun yun eh. Parang, kailan ako na bumalik ng Manila kasi kailan ako mag-prepare ng ganito, ganyan. Forgetting yung small moments na I have with my family. Yun yung binabawi ko ngayon na parang pag nauwi ako, I make sure na I spend time with my siblings, catch up with them. Girls kasi naman mostly, so kahit yung boy kong sibling, kamusta ka, chichika tayo, ganun. Yun yung kina-catch up ko lang. Cherish the people around me and not put my college life as the focus no time na yun, 4 years na yun.
To end our episode po. To end our episode, do you have any advice to give to those aiming to excel in the field of nutrition?
For my experience na lang, pero this actually applies to kahit anong field mo. Basta BSPH graduate ka or any student there na kakagraduate lang. Una is, especially for us sa BSPH, na ang dami mong pwedeng gawin unless mag-med ka. Syempre, ang ina-assume ko yung mga interested to venture to other fields mean na hindi muna sila mag-med. Tama ba? Tama ba yung assumption ko? So, for you to be guided kung saan ka pupunta, find a mentor. Syempre, know what you want. Just find a mentor to help you get an idea sa gusto mong gawin. So, ang key talaga for me is be eager to learn. Alam mo, may interest ka na eh. Pero keep being open for learning more things. Be it sa nutrition, mo saan man. And how this field that you are interested, relate with other fields. Huwag ka lang dun sa nutrition na part. Public health ka eh, so dapat bigger picture ang tinitignan mo. Also, keep your interest naman. So, grow them, feed them kung ano interest mo. Try to relate what your interests are or your field of interest mo to other fields din. Like, for example, nutrition. Gusto ko nutrition. I want to look at nutrition epi. Paano ko siya ma-relate? Nutrition and technology. I like tech. How can I combine them? Parang ganun. Ganun ko siya tinitingnan. Tapos yung mentor nga, parang to verify na yung mga gusto kong gawin, kaya ba siyang gawin? Kung paano ko siya gagawin? Tapos baka may insights rin siya on that matter, on the things that you want to do. Yun. At syempre, maging humble ka. Hindi naman alam mo kaya mo siyang gawin mo na. This will not be really specific sa nutrition, pero just general na tips na I can share. Una, keep yourself updated doon sa mga nangyayari doon sa field of interest mo. And it doesn't mean na just focusing on that. Since public health tayo, we should know how to relate it to the other fields. Like for example, ako, nutrition. I need to still be informed kung ano yung how is nutrition kapag may parasite yung isang bata. Also, yan, ask for guidance. Sometimes, this guidance can come in asking yung close friends mo na alam yung interests mo. pwedeng, yun nga, na-mention ko na, yung mga professors niyo sa college, parents niyo, minsan may mga makukuha kang wisdom eh. Kahit hindi nila intention, pero may something na mag-struck sa'yo. And even sa sa religion mo, sa beliefs mo, if you believe in God, there are things na you've heard naman na before, pero kapag on the time that you are seeking for answers and you encounter, for example, that certain verse, sabihin mo, oh yeah, this makes sense. May ganun, may voila, eureka moment ka sa sa mga maliliit na bagay. In the process, doon tayo sa career eh, huwag mong kalimutan na alagaan yung sarili mo. Do not sacrifice your health for your career. If you want to give more to others, you should start with yourself. Invest in yourself. Then if you are if puno ka, if you're okay, then you can give a lot more love, career, kung ikaw ay maging employer na minsan, opportunities, you can inspire people, you can do a lot of things pa. Kahit anong gawin mo in your life, don't forget yung self-care, yung self-love.
So, in our career paths, we often forget na it's a process that we shouldn't rush, and that we're not alone in this whole process, and we have God and other people with us. And you reminded us of that really well. Once again, we thank you, Ma'am Rachel, for giving us not only her time, but also sharing almost everything we need to know should we pursue nutrition and public health. That's a wrap for this week's episode, and we hope to see you again next week for another episode tackling a different field naman. Exciting, right? This is 𝗡𝗪𝙂 for ALAB Radio. See you next week, listeners, and may you continue to seek your fire within.
ALAB Radio Trip to the Future is an initiative by ALAB College of Public Health in coordination with UP Manila CPH Student Council and UP Hygiene Society. This program is in partnership with ISEC, University of the Philippines, Manila, Alliance of Public Health Athletes, CPH Hydro, Public Health Artists Circle, Progressive and Responsive Organization of Pharmacy, Industrial Pharmacy Honor Society UPCP, 𝗫𝗏𝗏, Staff CPH, in cooperation with UP Biology Majors Association, UP Manila Classical Ensemble, UPM Peer Empowering Peer Society, together with our media partners, SparkUp and WhenInManila.com.